I'm just doing an impromptu live. Why not? And why I'm doing it, you're gonna find out. Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Spiritual Superpowers. I'm Dawn, and today I am with one of our favorite guests, Opie from Opie's Connection, also known as Cheryl Kreft. And we are going to be chatting today because in the fall, Opie was at my farm when you came to Ontario for the Halo Awards. And when you were there, you started to get a bunch of stuff coming to you, which I have to show our audience, those videos. And then we're also going to talk about some of the research that I've done and what I came up with based on what you had seen. So, you see this chair? I just came home from my afternoon with Marianne Kennedy, which was incredible. Do you see what's behind there? That's a 200-year-old barn, okay? So I was sitting in this chair, and what do I see across this grass here? I see a woman with her head down in a white gown walking across the grass. And then, hi, Crystal! Then when she's walking, she's coming from about that pine tree there all the way to here and stops and disappears right before my car, okay? So from there, Dawn comes over and I ask her, have you ever seen the woman in the white gown? She says, yeah, I have. And I said, well, isn't that interesting? So she says, but she always disappears, and she shows me the exact spot my car's at. So now, talking to Dawn, from there, she said, what do you pick up over here? And I said, are you talking about the two boys? She said, the two grown men. So over there, I get a really taller guy, about 6'2" or so, and he's kind of hunched over, a little bit leaner in stance. And I get a shorter gent, about 5'6", a little stockier, but not too stockier. And they keep pacing and checking. But I see one has like a metal kind of thing that you would like hack stuff with, and the other one is holding like a Y thing. It's like a balancing thing. I don't know what that is, but Dawn says she sees them pacing with their feet, kind of walking. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so my energy is starting to radiate in my chest right now, and my throat's being restricted. So there's connection points happening here. So just I keep being shown like an old cabin that was over there.
How we both interpret messages from spirit. So I thought maybe we could chat about that too.
Absolutely, yes.
When we were walking around, you got a lot of feeling. You feel a lot. So you're clairsentient, obviously.
Yeah, so my predominant is claircognizance.
Oh, okay. So a knowing.
It's a knowing, it's a clear download. I don't have, like, it comes in and it goes out. There's no processing. Okay. So that's why I don't remember a lot after, because there's no, connection or reflection or analyzing anything. It just comes out. Okay. But my second clair is clairsentience, and it takes a while to learn that because they do all these things. So if somebody's diabetic, I get cold hands and feet. Okay. If somebody's depressed, they spin my head. If they're an alcoholic, I want to vomit and they spin my head. Okay. So they've taught me all these things with that, but they communicate a lot through my body.
Right. So that's kind of your vocabulary that or your legend that you've created. Yeah. How did you get fire? Did you feel it and know that it was meant to represent like a fire?
So I got the clear knowing, and as that's being communicated through me, they support it by taking the air out of my lungs. Okay. When I'm communicating it, and I'll get the imprints in my body to reinforce that that's the correct terminology that I'm supposed to use.
Okay. I'm clairvoyant.
Clairaudient?
or
clairaudient, and claircognizant is.
Hmm.
So how I tend to have all of them. Like I do have sentient as well, and they come to me whichever way. And
Yeah.
then with that, every single one is claircognizant, but
Mm.
not first, it's second. If I get shown an apple,
Yeah.
there isn't a definitive meaning, it's whatever comes with the apple. So does it mean teacher? Does it, and it depends on what the cognizant tells me.
Yeah.
So see an apple, I'll notice the apple, and then instantly I'll know it's time for them to go see the doctor.
Oh, gotcha.
The doctor way, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Hello, I am on my way to do a little walk around with Opie. Opie's been staying with me now as we get ready to go to the Halo Awards in Niagara Falls today. So being on a farm, and especially having two dwellings that are over 200 years old, like this barn behind me, Opie was picking up on very similar spirits and imprints as what I've had experienced here. So we're just going to do a walk around and see what she picks up.
Because I do know some really much older farmers now who remember coming here as children.
I get ice cold right here.
Right there.
Right there. Yeah. Just walking right through a wall. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah, this room I've never found.
This one, my breathing gets labored, and I get like, if it would feel like pneumonia or phlegm. Right? So this one I don't get as many hits.
You know why? Because this is the room that I used to use as my closet.
No way!
And so this room is where I've done, as you can see, I still have a lot of stuff left over here. But this is a room that I spent time in and did do energy work and stuff like that. So this room to me feels very normal.
And this one just feels a little bit lighter.
A little lighter than that other room.
Yeah, for sure. Like these two are totally different compared to that one. I wouldn't sleep in that one.
No,
they paid me.
No, I wouldn't either.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think this room, because of the light, tends to just have a better flow overall. But you can still feel, I think, the heaviness of the house and the hardships.
Yeah, it just feels like they had a lot of financial struggle here.
Yeah, a lot of worries.
Right? And a lot of, like, how are we going to feed them? Right? Like, it just feels like continually trying to see how they can maneuver through it. And just, like, density with the energy.
Yeah.
Like, there wasn't much laughter.
No, and I find, like, in here, I feel like they would have, but just, like, thought about how they can fix this. Like, this would have been the spot where they were, like, lying in bed thinking, and that, I feel like that signature's here.
I feel like the man had a lot of burden with it. Like, she was a resource for him, but it was like he took his role for the family caregiving very seriously, right? I just get this, like, shorter woman with, like, hair back and just kind of like a pointier chin. Do you ever get that visual? She feels like angelic looking at her. Like, she looks younger for her age.
Oh, okay.
Than she is. Like, higher cheekbones. More of like a elongated kind of heart-shaped chin area. I don't know what that is.
I have not picked up on her. Something I have to do every time I come in here is put that back, but then whatever's on the other side comes out and pushes it back.
Nobody will know.
Like, look at this.
Can't imagine
This wasn't like
cleaning
this wasn't
place.
like this last time I was in here.
Oh, really? Hey?
Yeah, so that's all come down. Yeah, like that was okay. All right, any thoughts before we go down?
I'll just let you go first.
I love basements because that's where they're the most exciting.
Oh,
this
my
is where
goodness.
everything gathers.
We were looking at buying a house that was 100 years old, and the basement, it was just like, what?
Okay.
Whew, I just got like a full-on hit in the stomach.
Yes, that I was going to say that you end up feeling like you get punched in the stomach.
Yeah.
when you come in here. Look at how creepy it is.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing we have to come down.
I would not want to know what's in those nooks. What was that?
I have no idea. I'm sure it's a machine or something.
Like those stones are so incredible.
I know, and to me the feeling we are not alone. The feeling I get is the fatigue of doing this by hand.
And
Like being nearly done, like every ounce of energy that you can muster to keep going.
right. Gosh. It feels so sad though.
Yeah.
Like it just feels like you would want to cry being down here.
Yeah. Weird, right? Because you think building your home here, like this place feels like it was built on sadness, where the barn
Yeah.
felt like it was built on excitement.
Joy.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was hope there.
And excitement, yeah. But yeah,
That
look
is
at the
wild.
beams, eh?
Yeah, it feels like it just wants to take little pieces of your energy,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Oh God.
Creepy.
And then you can breathe again, you know?
I was renovating the house in Erin. We broke down, the walls and stuff,
Yeah.
and there were like 1965, a girl's name, and the age 12, like that kind of thing. So I'm hoping that there's going to be stuff like that.
Right?
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for letting me videotape
That
what's
was
going
so
around.
great, right?
Yeah.
There's so much history here.
Yeah, and I just love showing the different ways that we all come up. Although you and I, between the woman in the white,
I can't believe how strong she was.
yeah, and the fact that you see the exact same imprint or whatever it
She
is.
doesn't go to the house, she stops.
Yeah, she just disappears, and I always wondered why she disappeared. Yeah, we've picked up on a lot. Like you and I seem to do things very similarly, or pick up on things very similarly.
Oh, that's very interesting, hey? I love that you validated the history, too, of the water well.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
that's so cool.
Yeah. So so I'm gonna do some more digging and find out more about maybe a fire in the back there.
Oh. Are you excited to hear what I came up with? So the one was the woman.
Yeah.
With like the white
The gown.
nightgown or whatever it was.
She was the first one that came to me.
Right. And we both saw her walking from the backfield and kind of stopping in front of the carriage house where the cars are. Now, I'd seen her before, but you had sensed a fire, I think, right?
I think it was a fire in the back field. I kept seeing this house and this big tree. It was a prominent tree that was no longer there.
Right. So I did my research, and there was a big fire, enough to be still in the history books, in 1914. And
I just got chills.
I know. And it was right in the back there. The structure's no longer standing. And it probably would have been around that era where you would be wearing that kind of a white nightgown or whatever it was.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah, because we talked about a fire back there, right? Like we talked
Yeah.
about like her being in a state of shock and moving forward
yeah.
away from it, right? And that's
Yeah.
why she wouldn't look up at us.
Yeah. So
That's
you
so
hit that one.
cool.
Yay. Yeah, that one took me the longest. So that's why it's taken me so long to get this information to you. The other one, I have so much more information about the history of the people in the house. I guess what I'll start with is I'd reached out to someone I know her family is a multi-generational family in Caledon. And her uncle, okay, so she sent me a few emails, and it was her uncle Casey McGorman, I think. Let me just see here.
Oh, I'm getting hit with so much energy when you're talking about this stuff. And I was like, I even was going to meditate this morning. And then I was like, no, I'm not going to open up before this discussion.
Yeah. So her, I think great uncle or something like that, Casey O'Gorman. Yeah, it was her great uncle. And he was also the president of the Caledon Riding Club. She actually sent a picture, which I want to share with you. She sent me a picture of the original farm, which was called Kildare Farm.
Oh.
And he was married and had kids. So I'm thinking what you were picking up on in the farmhouse,
Yeah,
is his family. And then, do you remember how we saw two people out on the field? How I was drawn to two men? Okay. One was kind of like stockier, one was slender.
Yeah.
But she thinks it might be Jack O'Gorman,
Casey O'Gorman's
son.
Because he was shorter, around 5'7", but he was more on the stocky side. So we saw one man who was stocky, and then we also saw another gentleman with him. And this is the really cool thing. It was actually from the, now looking at the pictures and what she has led me to, or who she said it probably was, I had no idea. It was Conn Smythe. Do you know that name at all?
No.
Okay, so Conn Smythe
Was the owner of the Maple Leafs and built Maple Leaf Gardens.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I mean, like, I knew that about him. So big Toronto family. His name appears on like the Stanley Cup 6 or 7 times, I think. She's like, oh, it sounds like Conn Smythe, because he would come visit all the time on the farm and they'd walk the field. And I'm like, why would that guy be here? Like, that doesn't go together. Turns out that Conn Smythe actually had an aggregates company and is actually responsible for all the quarries and everything that we have up here in Caledon Village. Like, he was kind of like, that's where he, I guess, made his fortune or something. And a lot of, the quarries and all the companies that are up here are actually from him originally starting that and having the property up here. So it's just up the road from me. So I guess they were, and at that time, there weren't that many farms, I guess, in the area. So they were buddies. And so they would walk the farm. So Conn Smythe, his imprint is walking my field. Now, interestingly enough, Conn Smythe was actually also a family friend of mine. So, like, this man did a ton of things. He fought in both world wars, and he's actually in these pictures with like my great uncles. And so my grandmother, she calls him Connie. So, oh, Connie. Like, they all knew each other. Coming full circle, because years ago, I had actually taken my grandmother to this movie where you could, Tommy Smythe. Now, have you heard of Tommy Smythe?
No.
Did you ever watch any of those HGTV shows with Sarah Richardson?
No.
No. Okay. Well, he is a interior designer.
Cool.
And he's done a ton of TV, and he was at this movie. So we went up and started talking to him about Conn would have been his great grandfather. And then my grandma ended up sharing the pictures with him because he's almost like the genealogy guy of his family. The Eaton Center in Toronto had set up their kind of Smythe collection and had it all on display and everything. And that's what he had done just recently, actually. So it's kind of funny. It's like full circle, but I'm trying to pull up a picture here, but I have a picture of my grandma and him sharing old family stories.
Wow. Like, what are the chances? Really?
So let me put that up. So there she is there.
Oh, that's amazing. You know, his face does look familiar.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Weird.
Wow.
So a man that turns out my family knew and was quite close with, because my family was big into hockey. Like my grandfather was the president of the MTHL, and like they knew Tim Horton and all, like that's, you know, their group. And so Conn Smythe was a big part of them. And actually one of the pictures that I have is Tim Horton actually sitting in one of his aggregate trucks. And then here you and I are just kind of like tuning in. You pick up on the woman and then the family in the house. And then, you know, like you confirm what I'm seeing with the two men.
Yeah.
And do my research and everything pans out. And then there was actually like the guy who made
Maple Leaf Gardens and Conn Smythe Trophy
is
just feel
haunting my
honored
land. Well, imprinted.
that we got to like connect with that. That's so beautiful. Like, that's very interesting. So do you think we're just watching historical imprints on the land then, right? Because they never engaged with us.
No.
Yeah.
And I know that for the woman, because I had seen that, it's like a reel, right?
Yeah.
So I had seen that one before, and that's when I'm like, oh yeah, but she only ever walks to the, and then she disappears at the cars.
Yeah, it's like literally one point and she just goes.
Yeah. Now the woman, or like the woman that you were tuning into in the farmhouse, and did she engage with you? Do you remember?
I think it was just she felt like she kept wandering, like she knew we were there.
Okay.
And you could feel the energy of her, because remember the rooms were very separate in energy.
Yeah.
I'll just never forget the one that it felt like she transitioned in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was the chest infection or the lungs. There was something there about somebody with like pneumonia or something that transitioned. I remember that. And then the basement was something else.
Oh my God. Yeah. Forgot about the basement. Wow. I totally forgot about that creepy basement.
Yeah, like the house, the rooms all felt very different energetically. And then that one room, I walked in and I was like, wow, it feels so good in there. And you were like, this was my room.
That was the room that I got to use for a year to put my stuff in and do my work. And yeah, so I like meditated in it. It had crystals.
The power of shifting the energy, right? Like that was a huge, like you walked in the door and it was night and day. It was really beautiful.
Especially for a house that is over 200 years old. Like there's a lot of signature into it. So yeah, it's tough to shift when there's that.
And I remember there was one corner in the kitchen that I didn't want to look at.
And so the gentleman, Casey O'Gorman, he was propped up in that corner in his casket as people kind of had a party, because that's how things were done back then.
Walking in and be like, I don't want to look over there. I'm not. And you were like, actually.
Yep.
That's
probably why.
great.
There's a lot of people who probably didn't want to look over there.
It's just like, I can
just
feel you and I'm not looking.
Yeah. Yeah. This farm has so much history, but I was really trying to I wanted to get all the information together before I told you, because the fire one took the longest.
Well, that's a beautiful gift for me. So I just thank you, because, you connect to these things and you're just like, I have no way to validate this. And that's a beautiful validation. So I really appreciate you taking the time to do that. And what an incredible piece of land, Dawn. I mean, it feels like a magical paradise there. And I love the pieces that you're leaving on the land as well.
Yeah, we're trying.
Yeah, that's so cool. You have to plant that lavender.
Yes, planting lavender this year. We have 2 beehives that are going to be coming in June. And next Friday, I go down to Niagara on the Lake to pick up my little babies, my little grapevines.
That's exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're moving forward with the vineyard and with, you know, like the wildflowers and the bees and the lavender and trying to make it as biodynamic as possible.
Oh, that's incredible. I'm really excited for you guys. That's like the coolest. Thank you for sharing that with me.
Problem. Thanks for coming here and playing with me. It's not like I get to do that kind of stuff with most people who come here.
Oh, it's so fun. Like there were so many different things, and there still is, you know, that one that kept going by the garage, that gentleman who kept walking there.
He's still, like, I saw him not yesterday, I think the day before, wandering the back here.
Yeah.
He just wanders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I swear you have a white fox living beyond the tiny house there, because I kept seeing this like magical thing jumping in and out.
Love it. I would love to see that. If you have
Right?
it. Yeah.